Hello everyone, this is Crota giving you a shoutcast between Adel versus Nerchio here on Metalopolis. Millennium's Adel spawning as the orange Protoss player at the 12 o'clock position. Meanwhile, AAA's Nerchio spawning here as the red. Excuse me as I move the microphone just a little bit in my way. So yeah, this is going to be Zerg versus Protoss here on Metalopolis. And this is going to be the close spawning location. This is not taken from GSL, nor was it taken from BattleNet ladders, as you can tell based upon the colors. So you can, in fact, spawn at the close spawning location. So we'll see how these players play this map. Nerchio may try to do a fast expand, but that would leave him pretty open early on in the game, and that's pretty much something that you don't want to do. You don't want to be that vulnerable in the early portion of the game, as a lot of early Zealot rushes and Stalker rushes may be able to shut down your expansion. But then again, as a Zerg player, if you're able to properly defend your natural expansion, that will help out and that will work out very well for you. These Xel'Naga watchtowers most likely will not come into play until the mid portion of this game, unless there is perhaps some Warp Prism or Void Ray play across the center of the map. But if you're gonna try to not hide it, might as well just go straight across here, or perhaps roundabout this way. That way you still have some ground support. A drone now making its way out and will quickly find Adel. Adel should also be able to deduce where Nerchio has spawned based upon the location of this drone. It doesn't look like Adel did move out with a probe back into this location here, so Adel may be thinking that it might have been a head fake since he didn't check the location with that probe, and now the drone just wandering and sitting in this location right here, trying to prevent a cybernetics core from coming into play. There is a assimilator down. A second assimilator shouldn't be placed down anytime soon. And oh, Adel just opting to place this cybernetics core here, as opposed to placing it here to lose any precious building time. But with that, this front door is going to be very much more exposed, especially since we already have a spawning pool in play, and Zerglings may be coming out already. Yeah, 4 Zerglings now coming out. Metabolic boost may be coming in, and that's going to be really bad news for Adel. Adel is not going to be able to hold that line that easily. He needs to get another gateway down, and in a hurry. Otherwise, he's going to be in a load of hurt. I don't realize how far behind I don't think he knows how dangerous the situation currently is, as the probe now makes its way down onto the low ground. He needs to cancel a probe and perhaps get another gateway warped in here. Otherwise, those Zerglings are going to be able to swarm, and that's going to be very, very bad news. Adel now holding with 1 Zealot there, and yeah, the Zerglings are now running through the base. This is exactly what you don't want to see. And as a Protoss player, a second gateway now finally being warped in, and this probe may get taken down. Wait for it, wait for it. Oh, just running through, and it looks like the probes were able to get a decent surround there and prevent any more units. A Stalker will be coming out in just a moment. That a Sentry is now going to try to hold that position there. And it looks like it will work, it will be pretty effective. There are double assimilators down for those heavier gas units, as the Zerglings are still causing a lot of harassment on the inside of the base. Is the harassment going to pay off though? Yes, another probe was taken down, and Adel just laughing at himself right now at the current situation. 2 Zerglings running around pretty much freely and being able to get in, perhaps get a quick attack there, and the Zealot now trying to engage, and it looks like the Zerglings have been finished off. But some damage was dealt to the economy. 22 drones now versus 22 probes. And now, as drones are being transferred to the natural expansion and another queen being trained, Nerchio should be able to get a very strong army of Zerglings and perhaps roaches as well. He does need to get a lot of overlords, and he's currently training up 4 of them, so he will not be supply locked for quite some time. And with that Roach Warren and Spawn Larva ability, he's going to have a very large army pressing in very soon. There are enough sentries to hold off any early aggression though. So we'll see how exactly those roaches are going to come into play. Those roaches could try to stand over here and then just shoot down at the gateway on the high ground. The roaches do have a very fast attack speed, or a decent attack speed, as those Zerglings, oh, double force field to protect 1 probe. Not quite sure about that, as that probe is just currently stuck on the far side now. Zerglings still wandering around. But yeah, a lot of energy in order to just save up 1 probe, as a Nexus now being warped in. Zerglings unable to stop that in time. More roaches now being trained, so we are going to have 7 roaches pushing out in just a moment. No creep highway has been started yet. So no creep highway. I think a creep highway could be started sometime soon to enable those roaches to move out much more quickly, but I don't think Nerchio is going to even bother with that. Just moving out with those roaches now is going to be a lot of sentries and stalkers versus those roaches. Those roaches are going to have a very, very easy time and putting some pressure onto this front door location here, as that pylon and that gateway is pretty exposed. We are now up to already 7 roaches, and the Zerg is now going to try to engage. The roaches having to be very, very careful, as the roach is now coming down in. The Zealot Zerg is going to swarm around that Zealot. They're taking some damage, and now down goes one of those units, perhaps going after some of those sentries. Sentries now getting picked apart, but oh, a lot of force fields trapping many of those roaches on the inside. That's exactly what Adel needed to see in order to try to get back into this game, getting a lot of easy kills as this pocket's so well protected. Nicely done, and now those stalkers are chasing against those roaches. There are more stalkers down now on the low ground. Army-wise, it is 1,000 versus 875, but total resources, Adel has the larger army in 1,500 or 1,600 resources versus 12. But there are a lot of Zerglings. The roaches now perhaps just trying to put pressure, still seeing what they can do. There are a lot of Zerglings waiting to swarm in, waiting for those stalkers and sentries to try to engage those roaches, utilizing the ability that they can move and attack. And then while on cooldown, just utilizing that very slow attack rate to their advantage with their higher damage. Roaches, and once again trying to push forward onto that front door, and there are a lot of roaches here. 5, 6 roaches. Are the Zerglings going to start to swarm? Yeah, the Zerglings are now going to swarm in from behind. Are they going to be able to stop it? No, they're not going to be able to stop many of those units from getting back. There are still a decent pocket there. Sentries trying to throw up a Guardian Shield, but that's not working at all. And Adel now in a little bit of trouble here as the Zealots are trying to engage. The Zerglings may be able to swarm in from the back here. One of those sentries in the back, they're going to get picked apart as the probes come off the mineral line. And with only 2 stalkers left, Adel says GG. So Adel losing this game here on Metalopolis with a very effective front door drone block. So that drone block right here preventing that cybernetics core from coming into play, and by delaying the cybernetics core's location rather here than here, the Zerglings were able to swarm through and get a little bit of damage onto Adel's economy. And Nerchio then just tried to press that advantage as hard as he could, that 3-4 drone worker advantage, knowing that his opponent also was very heavily in gas just because of the double assimilators. That did allow him to get a lot of sentries and a lot of stalkers, but unfortunately Zerglings and roaches can counter those units if they're caught in the open field. And with that attack, Nerchio really beautifully baited Adel out of his base, out of that really tight pocket protection right there, and then able to swarm in from behind, making sure that those Zerglings got melee hits. And as soon as those Zerglings were able to freely attack their target, that was the end. Thanks for watching, thanks for listening, I hope you guys enjoyed this 1v1 replay between Adel and Nerchio here on Metalopolis.